Just 5 seconds, please. Ooh, okay. I think it's gonna work this time, guys. Hey, welcome back to my channel. Sorry, my dog is in the background. You'll have to excuse him. He barks every now and then. But hey, welcome back to my channel, and I'm finally going to play Home. Chose the perfect time at night to play it. I've been actually trying to get this up and running for about a good 30 minutes now. So you'll have to excuse if this thing cuts off at any time. That really sucks. Anyways, unfortunately, I had pizza rolls made and like a drink, but I drank all of it and ate all of it before I actually got this thing to work. But either way, let's jump into the game. This is the game I was talking about, the one I wanted to try. Home, a unique horror adventure game by Benjamin Rivers. So, yep, let's get into it. Your game will be saved automatically at certain points. However, we recommend you put aside an hour and a half to complete Home in a single setting. Meh, we'll do it. Turn up the sound, turn off the lights. Already done. All I remembered at that point was finding myself alone. Oh, my head. Where was I? It was so dark. There was something by my feet. A flashlight? No, a flashlight. There. No question there. Oh. That house. Where was I? It's a dead man. There's a body lying on the floor. Who was it? Ugh. Control shakes every time something happens. That looks interesting, to say the least. Anyways, continue. Excuse me, whoever owns this house, there's a hole in your wall. You might want to check that out. The desk had a computer and some papers on it in a single drawer. I didn't want to snoop, but did I open the drawer? Yes. Receipts, pen, and a blurry photo. Looked like a store of some kind. Why did this look so familiar? That's a good question. I really shouldn't have been going through this stuff, getting my fingerprints everywhere. Blood on the wall, it smelled fresh and sickening. I realized there was blood on my shoe and pants. Oh man, I had to get out of there. It's all in the past tense, it keeps throwing me off. I don't want to go downstairs just yet. I didn't recognize his face, he was still kind of warm. Really throws me off that this is past tense. Is anything in here? No. What is that on the floor? Alright. Let's see. I noticed that I limped as I moved down the stairs. How did I hurt my leg? I wondered. All I could recall was coming home and seeing Rachel. I was upset. She looked afraid. I shook my head and I tried to clear it. I know I should head downstairs, try to find a way out. Hold on. My dog's eating a bone. Hey! Hey, where did you get that? Go to your room. You already ate it, dang it. Okay, anyways. Anyways, back to the game. The shelf was full of books on local history and hunting. Seemed like the owner of the house really knew the area. Voice was kind of raspy tonight. Raspy? Raspy? I don't know. Let's see. An old dining table covered in dirt, dishes for 2 people. Oh, and dirty dishes. I can't read. I can't read. There were dozens of beer cans and other liquor bottles among the dishes. The smell was turning my stomach. Ugh. Yuck. A black and white photo looked like the man upstairs and his wife. I guess there was no reason for me to keep this. Did I take it? Yes. Slipped the photo into my pocket. Maybe this would help me find some answers. A thin gray mouse was stuck to a trap. It looked frantic but exhausted. Did I free it? Why not? A collection of rusty tools. These looked like they'd seen a lot of use, and were cracked, and caked in damp-smelling dirt. Why were they in a shed? Why weren't they in a shed? Okay, you'll have to really excuse me, because I cannot read for the life of me for whatever reason. It keeps throwing me off, too, that it's in past tense. I shouldn't have chosen a game where I have to read out loud. Whatever. A photo, similar to the old one I picked up. It'd been moved a lot. There seemed to be a switch behind it. Did I push the switch? Yes! It depressed smoothly into the wall. I heard a faraway click somewhere. Oh, now the picture's sideways. I like how it's all pixelated. Should I check upstairs? There were scribbles. Why do I keep... There were scribbles of all kinds of random scrap paper and notes of some kind of watchtower. Did he mean the one by the old train yard? Did he mean the one by the old train yard? Should I give him a voice? Old man voice? Only at this... Has this been rotting here? The man upstairs didn't look like he'd been dead for a long time. Nobody, nope, nothing up here. I really don't want to have to go all the way back up the stairs after I go down some, so... It looked like hell. My clothes were dirty and torn, and there was mud caked all over my shoes. Had I been sleepwalking again? Was that how I got to that house? The bathroom was spotless. Everything had been wiped to a sheen. I wonder if it was the man's wife who did the cleaning or him. There was a photo development tray lying on the floor. Some leftover negatives were sticking out, but they were pretty blurry. I thought I saw what looked like treetops. The front door was blocked by a pile of furniture. I knew I had to find another way out. Ugh. Whoa. That actually freaked me out, jeez. Oh, my heart's beating. Door was taped up and seemed to be stuck. By the smell, I guess it led to the kitchen. Oh, that noise. The box looked heavy, but there were marks on the floor. It had obviously been moved before. Maybe I had found a way out. I must have moved it, right? Yes. I heaved the box forward and it finally gave. Should I leave yet? Should I look around more? I don't want to. There's a ladder going underground where the box was. A dank smell rose from the passage. Did I climb down the ladder? Yes. I looked again at the photo I found at the house. The couple looked distant, like they didn't want to be in the same picture. I wondered where the wife was. My leg was in terrible shape, but I had to get out. Go back up. Footprints in the dirt looked like more than one kind, and a lot of traffic. Oh snap, they're smuggling in drugs. These must be the drugs. Places all over were marked on the old map of town. The industrial area near the river, various houses, and even the water tower near the old rail station. Newspaper clippings from the local paper. They were all about murders in town over the last few years. Wait. There were photos. Photos of our house. Ugh. What the hell was that about? Maybe I should have looked around more, tried to find some kind of information. Work table covered in papers, dirt, and a handgun. I hated guns. Did I take a guess? I tucked the small handgun into my pocket. Its weight was somehow reassuring. Why did I take the handgun? I don't know. I'm taking a handgun though. Can I go back? Those boxes allowed me to climb up the ladder again, but I didn't want to go back up there. Not with that body and all that blood. I regret coming down now. I should have looked around more. Oh, whatever. It was so dark down there. The air smelled stale and putrid. I couldn't believe what I saw. What was this place? The desk looked old and was caked with grime. On it was a stack of old faded papers, covered with what looked like names. They were scratched out and illegible notes were written on beside them. Faded blue ink. I could make a few names. None of these. None of. Oh, excuse me. None of it made any sense to me. Some kind of homemade rack slung together with poorly cut wood and rope. It was caked with old blood. Somebody didn't actually use that, did they? Ugh. Rusted hooks of the kind you'd find in a butcher hung from the ceiling. They looked pitted and worn from heavy use. The man upstairs, did he do this? Man, you ask yourself a lot of questions, man. A crudely made shells. They looked like they were holding cans of some kind of corrosive. The label was worn and slick, but I could still see the warnings. It looked like a cage. It was small, but there was something coating the bottom. Something wet. Ew. That could mean many things. There looked to be bones half dug into the ground, and the remains looked old. The faded cloths that stuck up amongst the dirt looked familiar. They looked like the clothes that a woman was wearing in the photo. Was this the man's wife? Oh, interesting. Did he kill her? Making me ask questions. Alright, further down we go. That looks like it would be a person. My god, that's creepy. Some kind of old boxes? They looked like they were years old. Wait a minute. Those boxes had old clothes in them. These boxes have had old... Ah! So many tenses. Okay. Clothes I remember throwing out after Rachel and I moved to town. What the hell were they doing there? I can't read for the life of me. I suck at it. Really should have chosen a game that's heavily reading. I don't like that. Where'd you all go? There's nowhere to go. You literally flew back here. I don't understand. I remember noticing the broken ladder. I had to be careful. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. It was a rope hanging there. I wasn't sure how sturdy it was. I take it yes. Maybe the rope ladder easier to descend. Like that whispering. It's creepy. Please tell me you heard that. Okay. Rope I found would let me climb down the broken ladder safely. Did I climb it? Yes. I could hear a faint hum, and the smell from before started to get worse. Oh god, this is so creepy. Bunch of old newspapers we pasted together. A message had been hastily smeared on it. Keep out danger due to cave-in. I don't like noises. I'm wearing headphones, just so you're aware. So if it sounds a lot creepier because I'll hear it on one side of my ear and then the other side, or just on one side, so it sounds like someone's whispering to me. So the noises in this game are creepy and they give a good effect of it. Anyways, I could still feel a faint impression of the rope I had slid down as I pressed against the heavy door. It was probably best that I hadn't jumped. The ache in my leg was bad enough as it was. If I could have, though, I would have run straight out of those awful tunnels. Who would keep such a place? At least I thought I had found that old handgun. It seemed to work, and from the smell of it, it had recently, or had been used. I kept the handgun in my pocket. It seemed a familiar weight was there. Can I just say, the fact that he smells a lot of things. Like, I mean, like, in general, he smells the cave, yes, because he's walking in the cave. Ooh, I'm in a sewer. That explains a lot. Either way, but, like, the fact that he smelled the handgun kind of is weird to me. I guess if you were freaked out, though, so that can make sense. There was an exposed ventilation shaft. Maybe someone crawled through there? So high up that must have been a sore landing. I could hear a faint trickling of what sounded like water. Trickling sound like water. What was that? A knife covered in drying blood. Thick. It made me sick. I didn't even want to touch it. Did I take the knife? No. I still had the handgun. I wasn't sure what good a knife would have been. Okay, yeah. Okay, getting out of here. Goodbye. I have to go back. I have to go back. Please don't make that noise again. Door was locked. There was a musty smell from inside. I wasn't sure, but I thought it was some kind of regulator. I had no idea how it worked. I wasn't sure what those valves were for. They anyways? Yes. Please don't make a noise. There's 3 and 4. I guess I turn them yes. Whatever these valves did, it wasn't pumping water anymore. The valve was still active. Did I turn it again? Alright. Disgusting. It was a mess of filthy garbage bag. There were rips and tears on most of the bags. What looked like an old videotape was sticking out. Did I take the tape? Yes. I wasn't sure what I had hoped to discover as a tape, but I took it anyways. not want to go back into the tunnels. It seemed better to press on. That's what it said. Just so you know. Should I just exit? Fine. We're exiting. Turning those valves must have drained the water that was in this room. There was a ladder I could reach. Oh, hey, that's what that was for. It's like the water drained out of that grate in the wall. There was a small metal key left floating in the shadow of the pool of rancid water. Take it. Yes, I pocketed the small key. It was an shaped and I had no idea what it might open. I think I have an idea. I doubt it, but... I can't use the key? Alright, fine. Fine. To think I'm only like not even halfway through this game. If I leave, will I... Safety poster had definitely seen better days. Facility. Door was locked. See faint light within. Just have a bunch of locked doors now, huh? Stab. I could see a key ring that had fallen out of his pocket. Did I take it? Yes. I worked up the nerve to snatch the key ring away and put it in my own pocket. There must have been a way to see what happened. Maybe the VHS tape I found could be useful. VHS. Alright, let's go back and try with those doors. I tried a bunch of the keys on the ring I had found on the sewer worker, and one of them seemed to fit. This is so creepy. A collection of stale liquor bottles covered the floor. A faded receipt was half trampled on the floor. It was from a local train station. It was a ticket for due. I didn't know what use did I keep the receipt? Yes. I neatly foiled the soiled receipt and slipped it into my front pocket. The wall was littered with dozens of old faded papers. Whoever did this was obsessed with some local murders. According to some clippings, bodies had been found in the ravines in the forest, and in one case dumped in the back of an abandoned truck. I couldn't be sure, but I thought some of these same articles had also been pasted up back in those tunnels. Okay, I'm getting out of here. This is creepy. Thank you. No more crinklies. What the heck? My shelf full of security tapes was strictly organized. Though covered in dust, I can't read. Looked like the tape I found was the one that was missing from the shelf. There was a dusty VCR on the security desk. I wonder what was on it. That VHS tape I found. What was on that VHS? I did play the... Did I play the tape? Yes. Oh no. The video showed a man right there in the sewers being attacked. The tape looked fuzzy and stretched, like somebody had tampered with it. It looked like there could have been two men. I can't stand to watch that video again. Now I have to say, this game really does make you feel like creeped out. It's the place where the dead body is. So that video, that VHS tape caught him being killed. Must have been the other end of the ventilation shaft. Whoever used it could have gotten past a flooded room with this. That's pretty smart. Let's get out of here. And cursed the weight of the gun as I hobbled up the ladder. Would I really need it, or was it just some other reason for wanting to carry it around? The thought of that videotape still haunted me. Who was it that didn't want to be seen? Was it the same person that hid all those newspaper clippings away in that locked room? I could go no further up on the ladder. The thumping... Wait, oh. Okay, and thumping... I really can't do this. I am so sorry if you have to listen to me ramble and try and read, because apparently I am like a first grader and can't read for my life. As of right now. I mean, like, usually I do a lot better, but tonight I guess I can't. Anyways. Finally, someone found my escape. Wait. Someone? Finally, found my escape. God. I'm so disappointed in myself. My God. The stench of that sewer finally abated, and I could smell old damp pine trees. God, I don't like being in this. You know, likey. An old ladder leading up to an ancient water tower. The ladder needed to be extended so I could climb it. Did I extend the ladder? Yes. I popped the latch and brought the ladder down. Oh, hey, it's the bats from before. Still don't know how they got out of there. Still have no idea. In the path of smeared dirt and grass, there was a beat-up old wallet. I thought it was mine. Did I take it? Yes. The wallet was missing its contents, including my cards or ID. It was worn but light. It made carrying the handgun around seem more awkward. Where was my driver's license and credit card? From the railing I could see over the woods and down to the entrance. Down to the entrance to the stores. Had I come through there before? If I did, someone definitely could have seen me. yellow eyes. I tried the key I had fished out of the murky puddle in the source. It fit. Keep the door open, the rusty door. The wind picked up a bit. The night air had become strangely chilly. It was the old train station. It was quiet as a tomb. Only sound was that of increasing wind buffeting the decrepit structure. Decrepit structure. Decrepit structure. An old map encased in glass hung on the wall. It was the train's route. It was connected to that old train station. As I looked at it, it seemed familiar. Of course, the map I found in those tunnels had similar locations marked, and the note I found on the other man's bookshelf. His notes mentioned the water tower and even this train yard. What was he doing coming back here? No, I don't want to leave yet. An old ticket booth that looked fairly ruined. Inside the ticket window were sheets of paper. Wait, what were these? Train receipts? I thought the receipt I had picked up might match these, but of course not. The station had been closed for years. The ticket must have been the newer train station that opened up on the other side of town after this one was abandoned. However, I noticed a series of fresher looking paper covered in tiny notes, scribbles, and diagrams. Oh, trophy. Back. Don't want to miss anything. It seems like I'm piecing together this story. Don't really want to miss anything. Excuse me. Sorry. The train was ripped open, hanging from it a shred of metal, as well as the broken fence was a dark stained patch of cloth. It looked synthetic, like some kind of outerwear inside the train shell, and I could see a few faint impacts like wounds. They could have been bullet marks. Was somebody shot there? Was the ground was well worn, though I couldn't really make anything out. I realized I was touching the gun I had found, as I thought. It was getting colder out there, but I had to keep moving. Alright, now we can leave. It sounds creepy. Open the entrance to the forest. That was on that map. Whoever was poking around in those tunnels underneath that man's house had notes on this place, but I couldn't make them out. Here, the sign pointed out campsites and walking paths within the woods. It mentioned a river and maybe a washroom, but the rest was too faded to see clearly. The worn picnic table stood with a circle of trees like an altar. It was covered in faint markings and carvings from who I assume was previous campers and hikers. It's a good assumption. The path ended a cold-looking river. In a cold-looking river. I wasn't sure if I was safe to cross like this. Did I cross? No. In the darkness, it didn't seem wise to try. Maybe there was another option. Trampled in the dirt and grass was a plastic card of some sort. I brushed it off and was surprised to see it was my credit card. I wasn't sure if it was still usable, but it was mine. Did I take my credit card back? Yes. I pocketed the credit card. Hopefully I could find my driver's license too. Through the fence, I could see a dilapidated outbuilding. Dilapidated? 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 Dill a pie dated. Dated a dill pie. Ew, that's gross. I wonder if I could find my way around. The fence? Dilapidated? Dilapidated? Dilapidoodadoo? Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo? Two folding chairs were on the ground. One was not. A couple of cans of beer spilled on the ground. There was a fire pit. It was still a bit warm, and a few embers still burned at the bottom. The cheap dome tent slept two people. I shone my light inside and could see some bedrolls, two backpacks, and a cooler. No, don't, no. I'm doing it. A grimy sink had a small patch in it that looked almost clean. There was a damp-smelling plank leaning against the stall door. Might have been able to. Yes, managed to carry the plank under my arm so it didn't get in the way. There was some personal effects shoved into the rock. Wait, there was a notebook there too, degraded, yes. Inside the cheap dollar store notebook was a page after worn page of names and lists. None of it made much sense. The news page contained several names. Heather, Olivia, Ashley, Cheryl, Iris, Daphne, Holly. Oh, that's really weird how Daphne and Holly connect like that. Daphne, Holly, Rose, Rachel. Rachel, her name was the last on the list and had a mark beside it in blue ink. The names Daphne and Olivia had been crossed out in the same blue ink. Cheryl, Heather, Rose had also been crossed out, but the marks looked older and more faded. I had finally found the exit. Once I left, I never wanted to return there. The sign was the same as the first one I had seen. Must have been the exit to the other side of the woods. Okay, I guess we leave. Though the dense trees and I could finally start through. Can't read. Can't read. Through the dense trees, I could finally start to see some light. I must have been at the edge of the forest, though I wasn't sure where the path ahead of me led. I could almost feel the cryptic notebook in my pocket as I tried to think about what it could mean, and where were the campers who had abandoned their site. Would I move them too? So the path ahead was less dense and wary. Who knew what was ahead? As I stood at the gate, I suddenly recognized the auto parts factory where I had worked as a mechanist for all those years. The plant had closed almost 3 years ago now. Times were better then. I thought I could hear a faint rustling. Ooh, no rustling behind me. Maybe it was just the wind. No, it's not just the wind. Get out of here. What do I do? Okay. Oh no, I found the body of a security guard just doing his job, no doubt. His face was covered with blood of some kind of head wound. I wonder what this flashlight his. Was this flashlight his? Dug into the ground was a cracked old watch. My first wallet, and now this. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to cross the river. Yes. The watch was useless, but I put it on. Oh, I regret it. And I can't play it again. Okay, whatever. I'm pretty upset now. No! No. Sorry. I've been picked through and a few photos and notes had been ripped off the door and spread around. Every part of this plant smelled like old and rotten. I noticed the old bulletin board on the wall. bulletin board contained yellow clippings of newspaper cartoons and notices. There were notes to and from the guys that worked here. One of them was from Norman, who was one of the older guys on the line. Our old break tables, a layer of dust and grime only made seeing this sting more. Back down. Power panel looked like it was shut off. Yes. Open locker. There were clothes and old boots. There was a photo of a woman taped to the inside, but it was scratched out and the face was unrecognizable. Did I push this? Shut tight, and there was a rusty slot on the side. There we go. The door had been hastily boarded up. This was Norman's locker. The door was dented like someone had punched it. I didn't remember him doing that when we worked there. Another panel that I hope could get the power back on. Did I push the switch? Yes. The utility shelf was crammed with mismatched tools. There was a claw hammer on the shelf. Did I take the hammer? Yes. I took the hammer and noticed as dusty as the rest of the tools on the shelf. It wasn't as dusty. Oh! I can't breathe! Breathe. The locker was complete. You could tell I'm kinda tired. Hidden at the bottom though was a magnetic card. Did I take it? Yes. I slipped the card key into my pockets. Another panel that I hope could turn on. Yes. Sounds like something's working now. These little noises make everything so creepy. Did I use the key card? Yes. There was some kind of ventilation hatch there. It looked like I could jump into the room below. My leg is hurt enough as it is, but I couldn't see any other option. Did I jump? No, it was too chicken to jump. We will figure something out where you don't have to hurt your leg. The door hits off. Come on. You're gonna make me jump? Alright. Yes. Oh man, my leg hurt like hell. Ouch. I am so sorry. There was a crumpled up letter on the floor. It had been scratched out heavily. It was hard to make out. Yes, most of the letters were violently scratched out with what looked out to be a ballpoint pen. All I could make out was need to. Just don't drinking, need Norman. Who was Norman writing to? There was a poor guard. That poor guard. Was the flashlight I carried his? It looked like he hadn't met his end violently. I only hope it was quick. It looked like he had met his end violently. There, that wasn't a real fart. I had to get home to Rachel, but I couldn't stop thinking about Norman. He and Rachel were friends. Could he help? It wasn't like I really had anyone else to turn to. My leg burned with pain. I only hope I could find my way through the dark path before me and get to Norman's store. Oh man, I really screwed up some stuff. Okay. The garbage bin was disgusting, messed of rotten food and slick black bags. I saw a thin greenish corner poking out from one of the bags. It was my driver's license damage. Yes, take it back. I cleaned the card off as best as I could. It looked pretty beat up. I was amazed to have found my credit card and now this. I tucked my card into my wallet next to my credit card. Sounded like it was gonna start raining again. I entered Norman's place. This was the back of the store that he ran. It was oddly quiet, except for the faint sound of the television. I like how randomly you just hear your heartbeat. What the hell was one of Rachel's old autumn coats? What the hell? One of Rachel's old autumn coats were hung on a rack. That was Norman's bedroom, wasn't it? What was this doing there? Inside a cabinet was a small but impressive collection of hunting rifles, shotguns, and even a few items I didn't think were legal here. One of the slots on the rack was empty. The gun I held seemed to match the others. If the handgun was Norman's, what the hell was he doing with it? The handgun would fit there. Did I place it back in the cabinet? Yes, I carefully pushed it back in place and felt a great burden lifted. Hey, another trophy. Oh great, he's dead too. No. No. What is that? What was this? It looked like a pull chain hanging from the ceiling. I wonder where it led to. And simple thing popped down. Oh no, I couldn't believe I was seeing Norman, my coworker, and one of my few friends I had in this town, lay dead beside his armchair. His face and shirt were covered in blood. It looked like he had been shot trying to get out. My eyes were wide with shock, though they were already drying. Norman, was Rachel doing here? Why did you have her coat? Norman, maybe you deserve better. You probably did. Did I close his eyes? Yes. Closed his eyes, shuddering as I did so. I wasn't sure if I wanted to give him peace or if I just couldn't stand to think about what was going on. I think a little both. I hoped Rachel had nothing to do with this mess, that mess. Should I go up into the attic? I guess this was Norman's kitchen table. He kept it clean enough, but there were water rings from cups there in the wood. Kitchen trash can smelled fresh. I didn't dig through that mess. I found a hairpin amongst the rotting food and trash and pocketed it. Alright, I guess up to the attic now. Alright. Why are there nooses hanging from the ceiling? There was a large cardboard box that hadn't been sealed. Did I open it? Yes. I opened the cardboard and wasn't entirely surprised by what I saw. There was more of Rachel's things, more of my wife's clothes. My wife's photos, shoes, and even that old radio I gave her. Why, Rachel? What were you doing here with Norman? That looks like a creeper head, just not perfectly drawn. Do I leave now? Nothing else really here. Yeah, that's basically it. Okay. We'll figure this out. Calm it, babe. Shh. I used a hairpin to pick the lock. The hairpin snapped in half, so I threw it away. The general store was small, but it was clean. It had the usual things: postcards, snacks, magazines, and canned goods. I never went there much. Rachel usually stopped by after I needed anything. Or if she needed anything. The register was mostly empty, and a fat stack of travel magazines sat beside it. The ice cream box seemed unplugged. It must have been off for a while. Most of its contents were half melted. There were various postcards from the area, especially from the tourist traps. One of the postcards showed an old black and white photo of the water tower. It looked to be in much better shape then. Before I leave, is there anything else I'm missing? Okay, I'll take that as a no. It had been weeks since I'd last seen Norman, and finding him that way still left me cold. Thinking of him slumped against that chair only cemented my reassurance in getting rid of that. Getting rid of that gun. It looked like someone had taken a piece of his store. Maybe that piece from his... Sorry, my animals are playing around right now. It's distracting. Hey! Hey! Shh! It's okay! It looked like someone had taken that piece from his store, but why was it in those tunnels? As I stepped outside, I recalled the dusty old boxes of clothes that were in Norman's attic. I felt like I had only discovered more questions, but no answers. But I was close to home. It was time to find out the truth. Sorry, I'm letting my dog out. Again. Okay. And back to the game. Let's get back to this. It was locked. This wasn't the right gate. This wasn't my house. It wasn't my house. Neighbor's local post box. A letter was sticking out as if someone hadn't pushed it in all the way. I knew it wasn't right. That the envelope was addressed to Norman. There was no return address, but the handwriting looked familiar. I took a deep breath and tore open the package. Norman, I'm sending you this in a letter because I'm afraid to tell you this in person. What we did, well, it was wrong. My husband isn't an easy man to be with, but he is my husband. Tell your friend, and your friend. I need some time to sort this out away from both of you. From you both. I'm going away for a while. I'm going to tell him. Norman, so don't you think about that you can hold that against me. Maybe we'll work it out. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I even want to, but he deserves at least that much. Goodbye. Oh. That stinks. I had entered our backyard. The rain gave me a terrible sense of foreboding, and it chilled me through my clothes. I wasn't expectant, but also afraid. I held my breath as I approached our back door. I was terrified to step inside. Nope. The house was painfully quiet. The only sound was my own breath, ragged and strained. I flicked the light switch by the door. The power was off. I remember having breakfast here on this very table. Was that yesterday or sometime before? The door to the basement was locked. Where I had put the damn key away. A locked basement. There was a small pile of mail on the front of the mail slot. How long had I been away? Why hadn't Rachel picked this up? Most of the contents were bills. Oh, hey, dummy. She left. There was a credit card bill there. Did I open it? Yes. I ripped open the bill to read it. To my surprise, it said something about canceling my credit card due to non-payment. What the hell? This music. I found the last missing piece of my wallet, an old photo of Rachel, and I stared back at me, reminding me of other times. It didn't make me feel terribly comfortable. Did I keep it anyways? Yes. I replaced the photo in my wallet, feeling like I had got a part of my life back. Still, the image made me uneasy. Why had I thrown it away? For television I had purchased before I knew I was going to lose my job. I felt pretty guilty about it afterwards, but then it was too late. Oh, this music, man, is killing me. The books, they were half mine, half Rachel's. Hey, now that I looked more closely, it looked like the man in that house had some of the same books as I did. My wife's Rachel's suitcase was sitting on the bed. It was closed, but I had a feeling what was in it. Did I open it? Yes. Inside Rachel's suitcase was a few days worth of clothes, some personal effects, and a train ticket. I stared at the ticket. I feel myself flush with anger and resentment. The date and time matched the receipt I had found. Man, did I kill her? Did I kill her? This is all just a bad dream. Our hallway mirror had been smashed to pieces, scattered around the floor. Which needed to be replaced. One of the taps always stuck, but hadn't got around to fixing it yet. I was lucky enough to get a house with one of those wonderful clawfoot bathtubs. That old house was charming for sure, but it wasn't always easy. My laptop had been left and had only a tiny bit of power left. On the screen was a website about the old water tower. It was a key in the top of my desk drawer. Did I take it? There was a key. I didn't want it just yet. I need to think. Oh, you do want it. Take it. Yes. Why are you so reluctant to take things? All this music. It's creepy. I'm unlocking the basement, people. Okay. There were all the Christmas decorations in the box. Garbage bags were stuffed with old paint can supplies. There was a dirty old key here. Did I take the key? I took the small key and tried to remember what it unlocked. There were old clothes, tools, and other things we obviously hadn't thrown out yet. I had put up the divider wall last summer so we could create a separate room in the basement. I hadn't finished it yet, so the door was stuck, and the drywall was poorly installed. I might have been able to break through it if I had found something heavy enough. God, I think I killed my wife. I know that's really random just after the store, but I really do think I killed my wife. The grimy key I had found in the basement unlocked the door. Okay, I looked. It looked like the room had been tossed around. The furniture was a mess. Did somebody break in here? There was an old crowbar on the floor. Did I? Let's take the crowbar. I lifted the heavy crowbar. I appreciated its weight. By the looks of it, the crowbar had a few broken things. Broken a few things, whatever it said. God. Okay. Back down to the it's not the crowbar. Did I break through the wall with the crowbar? Yes. A heave, I swung the crowbar at the wall and smashed a hole large enough to step through. As I stepped through the broken wall, my breath caught in my throat. This was it. Was Rachel down there? Was she okay? Don't look. I've got to. Man, this is a big bracelet. A filthy pile of rags had been dumped in the corner. The stench of them was awful and made my eyes water. I was terrified to even see what was laying within the piles, but I knew I had to. I had come this far. After all the searching, all I had seen was looked within the rags. Did I finally find my Rachel? Yes. It was worse than I could have possibly imagined. Within the folds of rotten, smelling, heavy fabric was a pale, dead figure of my darling wife. What struck me most was that she wasn't bloody or torn apart, rather that she had been covered in green, sickly bruises, and her windpipe had been crushed. A real horror there was that the real horror was that whoever killed her had done so intimately with bare hands. So this is what had been gnawing in the back of my mind the whole time. This is what I was afraid of. I thought all about all I had seen and wondered if any of it could help me figure out who had done this. When I couldn't stay there any longer, I had stepped away on shaky legs and made my way back upstairs. Reluctantly, exhausted from my journey, I could no longer resist the urge to close my eyes. Maybe I was sleepwalking out, or maybe somebody stole it from me. Norman's store. Where's the water tower? Was I at those places before? Yes. I didn't see how it could have happened any other way. I must have been the one to lose my wallet and its contents. But what does this mean? I am so lost right now. Okay, my old safe sat on the floor. I used to keep tax records and other important documents in it. It used a digital passcode lock, but I didn't have the code. Maybe I had left it somewhere. I leafed through the notebook I had taken from the forest. In It laid names that had been written down: Heather, Louis, Ashley, Cheryl, Daphne, Rose. I recall the names I saw scratched out on that old desk, deep within those musty tunnels. Was the man in that house really up to something? But I had found him dead. It was the key card I had found in the factory, the one that allowed me to slip through that door. It seemed to me that it was probably Norman's. But if that was true, what was he doing back in that plant? Did I think Norman was going back to the factory? No. Someone was going through those lockers for sure, but I don't think it was Norman. The laptop was dead, but I found some notes and loose paper in the drawer where I had found the key. There was a yellow sticky note with 8 digits on it. Did I take notes? Am I piecing together this whole thing right now? Because I'm kind of very lost. Alright, let's get out of here. It was the photo of the other man and his wife. I assume I found it in the house. I recall those faded remains I had found deep underneath his house. What had he done down there? What did he, I think, was that man involved with this? Yes, definitely. Those tunnels were the odd tools in his house and the remains of his wife. He was innocent, that's for sure. Okay, let's open up the safe. The code I found should have let me access. Yes, the code worked. The small door appeared inside. There was a photo in there of Rachel and when I had first moved to town. In it, we were smiling outside the front of the house, which looked like a real mess. We were happy though. Odd, I couldn't remember who took that photo. Inside the safe was also an envelope. In front of it, do not open it until I tell you. I guess it was a good time as any to see what was inside. Did I open the envelope? Or was it was inside? Yes. Envelope and removed the yellow lined paper inside. On it was a letter written in hand that looked familiar. The letter read, I know this whole event has probably been pretty difficult. You can't imagine how hard it's been for me too. Well, maybe you can. That isn't meant to be an excuse, but, well, I had hoped you can better understand why I've done what I've done. Moving to this town seemed like such a dream. A quiet place to get established, to live our lives, and be together, but you know as well as I do that things quickly change. Your drinking was one more thing, but you grew more distant as you retreated into that world of yours. Well, it was clear you didn't need me as much. In fact, maybe you never needed me at all. But it looked like this to make you it took all this to make you realize. In the end, though you may have never forgave me for this, you may never forgive yourself, but this is probably for the best. You'll be healthier for this. Just remember, I'm just sorry it had to happen this way. Rachel. so much, but I couldn't blame him for what happened to my wife. I didn't know what to think, I just wanted to put this whole mess behind me. From now on, I'd have no one to get angry with me for stupid things like buying this TV. Then actually, it was like I didn't actually expect a reflection. I felt empty and drained. The quiet in that room unnerved me terribly. But who had killed him? Maybe I would use some of Rachel's travel books and go find some place to go to. There, that was decided. So am I supposed to piece together this story? Oh man, I don't even know. I think I did this. But I also feel like the guy... Oh hey, it's a PlayStation 2. I feel like the guy from the first house might have had something to do with this too. I think I killed Norman and my wife though. It seemed like I had seen all there was. Maybe I thought I was ready to go back into the basement. Alright, maybe there would be anything. There wouldn't be anything for me to find, but I had to take one last look. Now that I stood there, I realized I couldn't go back into that room again. I had already seen too much. I need to put an end to the situation one way or another. I wasn't to stay in the house. Did I leave? Never to return. Yes. Living in this town hadn't been easy. The plant had helped in some ways to stay grounded and kept me in line and gave me something to do and helped me get away from my past. When the factory closed, everything changed. I guess that was when I had started sleepwalking and disappearing for hours at a time. I had MRIs and piles of doctor reports. Nothing seemed to help, not even drinking. But I swear I had tried to give it up. I know. The sleepwalking never really went away though. I know that Rachel had tried. I know she had tried to be there for me even when everything was falling apart. The night unearthed terrible truths, but I knew it was a final act of a long-standing horror I'd been living. Waking up in that house tonight was the final cruelty. I wish I had remained unconscious in that room forever. It was obvious to me and in that house had something to do with all this. Could he have killed Rachel? It started to seem that there were too many things I had seen to think otherwise. After making out those tunnels, I thought those were safer. I was wrong. Security tapes I had watched showed me someone being attacked by what looked like two people, but who was it that was attacked? I had found the contents of my wallet scattered down. Why the hell had I been out there? Had my sleepwalking gone to some new extreme? And though the thought that I couldn't account for my whereabouts, but I knew I had been in that forest and now a place. Well, it was terrifying. I didn't know what that meant, but at least I had recovered my things, hopefully. I thought that I would cover my tracks so I wouldn't be blamed for all this. Deep within those woods, though, where things became truly awful, finding that notebook only made things worse. Rachel's name had been on that list, so what terrible plot was she a part of? It was a similar list of names on that desk back in those tunnels. What was that connection? One thing I could be sure of, despite my confusion, I knew Norm had been one who was going back to our old factory. He couldn't have been responsible for that dead guard then. I could take some solace in that. After the factory, I thought I might find some solace if I could just get to Norm's store. But all I had found was more horrors and more questions. Now that I really considered it, that when I should have seen it coming. What were you and Rachel up to? Was obvious things were more complicated than I had ever imagined. How long had you been going behind my back? More importantly, why Norman, whoever had killed Rachel, had probably gone after you too. Maybe they knew what you were up to. I would never know peace, Norman. Despite your transgressions, a part of me really did hope that you would. When I marched through the rain towards home, I desperately clung on to the hope that this would end. And I guess in a way it did, but how could I have known how hopeless it all was? I started to feel as disoriented as when I slept walk. To think of it now. I guess I should have known from the terrible silence that greeted me when I first stepped into our house and stood there in the kitchen. There was no sound of television, radio, or even the air was still. But seeing Rachel there lying, ruined and discarded in the basement, that was a horror I could have never imagined. I didn't know if I'd ever find the answer. I carved it, but I knew that somehow that the other man I had found was responsible for this. If not directly, he must have had a hand in Rachel's death. So, what was I doing in that damn house of his? Had I found out? Had I killed him? My damn condition made me difficult to know memories, and time frames were always a mess. I could never be sure. Knowing that man was dead, though, was cold comfort. My wife was gone, and no matter what happened to me now, I was lost forever. I swung open the door and stepped outside into the air. I caught a scent of wet grass and fog. Rachel, my beautiful wife. I just thought of her again. Cold and inert, shook me from my head to toe. What could I do now? Who could I turn to? It would only be a matter of time before the police got involved, before the neighbors knew. In front of the lawn was soft and giving beneath my feet, and I couldn't shake the urge that I shouldn't stand there, but rather that I should run. Am I still playing? Oh, that was interesting. Well then. Oh man, that's so confusing. That's such a creepy game. Uh, that was a creepy game. It was pretty darn good. I mean, like, the effects, it made me feel very, very creeped out. My home is dedicated. Watch your back. Ugh. The end. Um, the game definitely had a creepy vibe, definitely interesting. I really liked it. Uh, I don't know, I was really lost, and I'm still lost as to what was going on. I guess I was trying to piece together everything, but unfortunately I missed a few things, and honestly I don't feel like playing through the whole thing again just to find out. So maybe I will one day play this again and record the parts that I missed and come out with a different ending. But yeah, I guess that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and peace out.